Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I am going to walk my happy butt over to the futon to check out the Netflix original, Ballad of a Small Player. Ballad of a Small Player is directed by Edward Berger and it's starring Colin Farrell. It tells the story of a high-stakes gambler whose past is coming back to haunt him. So he's hiding out in Macau. Now, it's actually not a really great place for a gambler to be hiding out, considering it is the gambling capital of the world. Well, while he's laying low in Macau, he comes across a mysterious woman who might be the key to his survival. This film looks like it's going to be pretty weird in all honesty from the trailer. In all honesty, I love a good, weird old thriller, and I'm hoping that that's exactly what I'm gonna find. You know who else loves a really weird old thriller? My cat Haku, and of course he is patiently waiting for me to get over to the futon. So it's enough of the jibber jabber, it is time for me to go check out Ballad of a Small Player. Just getting done watching Ballad of a Small Player, and guys, I didn't really care for this movie. Now, there are things about this movie that I did really enjoy and thought were super cool, and I do feel like there's an audience for this film. I'm just not one of them. So let's get this party started, shall we? We're going to get things started with negatives, then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. First thing we're going to talk about is the pacing of this movie. Now, in the very first act, you think that you're going to be in a very suspense-driven, tension, psychological thriller, right? No, that only really lasts for the first act. So you're only getting things set up. This is where all of his debt and his past is coming back to haunt him, and we start to see everything kind of breaking around him. He's on a bad streak. He keeps trying to win money to pay off these debts that are accumulating, and everything just keeps falling apart. And it really feels like all of that tension and all from like something like Uncut Gems, pardon me. Anyways, so you have that kind of suspense thriller going for a little while. Then we hit the second act, and in the second act, he starts to have these blackout moments where all of a sudden he has intense anxiety and just blacks out and wakes up somewhere else. He might be in a restaurant somewhere, has himself an anxiety attack, wakes up somewhere else. This is never truly fleshed out exactly why this is happening, which we'll get into it a little bit here in just a second on how well things get fleshed out in this film, but it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. And then that second act also just slows down to an absolute crawl, and the film doesn't necessarily pick up from there. What starts off as a very suspense thriller, maybe a little bit of dark humor, goes into an extreme slow burn drama where you're having pieces getting put together and all, but nothing seems to be really getting fleshed out. Then we get into the third act and things start to get back into that thriller realm. Things start to change, so on and so forth. You can tell that the film is building to something, you just don't know what. And then, let's just say the ending of this film is a little bit unsatisfactory also. This film is one of those movies that leaves it up to the viewer in order to decide exactly what's going on in this film. Now, the problem with that is that there's way too many things in this movie that aren't fleshed out well enough for you to actually be able to come up with your own determination on why everything is happening. Now, I'm all for leaving something ambiguous, but for God's sakes, give us some clues that we can build upon so that we can actually make our own determination on what's going on here. But this movie does nothing but ask you questions, but doesn't give you any answers to those questions. And then it just starts doing this whole thing where it's like, didn't that seem neat and weird? That weirded you out, I bet. Boy, oh boy, wasn't that strange. Did you see that? That was wild. And then it never really goes anywhere. It never really fleshes out or really rounds out exactly why all of this is going on. And then at the end of the film, when it all wraps up, it honestly feels like one big waste of time. At least it did to me. And again, like I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of the ambiguous ending, but at the same time, it can work with certain films. But 9 9 times out of 10, those certain films have left you breadcrumbs to what's actually going on. This movie just kind of throws some things at you and see exactly what might happen to stick. But other than those things, in all honesty, there is some stuff here that I really enjoyed. I don't want to go over some of the storylines and plot points, of course, because that's going to give away some of the spoilers and everything. But there was also just the story itself didn't really seem to come together. I could never tell exactly what this movie was trying to be. Was it going to be a dark comedy? Was it going to be a psychological thriller? Was this some kind of character study of this gambler? It just never seemed to really want to latch on to any kind of idea to kind of flesh out its story. Now let's move into the things that I did enjoy about this film. Now first off, Colin Farrell is good in this movie. I really liked his performance. His acting was great for a movie that purposely tries to confuse its audience. His confused performance really helps with all of that. The color palette of this film is absolutely beautiful. The cinematography and all just captures the beauty of this area that they're in. Everything is beautiful. The architecture, the lights, everything is bright and shining, and it really draws you in. This movie is honestly a whole lot of flash over substance. There is a lot of really cool things that you see in this. There's a lot of really great elements of sound design that's in this film. On a technical level, everything in this movie really does come together to make an extremely pretty movie. It just doesn't have anything else really in there. All of the actors do a good job. They do deliver great performances. As I said, Colin Farrell did really well in this movie. I really liked him as this character, the character himself. Not really a horribly likable guy, which really makes me wonder why the movie was kind of going in the way it was. But anyways, never mind on that. I couldn't necessarily feel what this film was trying to tell me. And I know I'm in the positives, but honestly, that was one of the things that was really bothering me. In films like this, in a metaphoric, ambiguous kind of movie, there's something that's being learned. There's a lesson that's being told to us. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lesson, but it has a message, something that's deeper meaning. But at the end of this movie, I just sat here, and if there is a deeper meaning to things that were going on, I just decided I don't care. It wasn't worth my time to try to figure out exactly why, how, when, whatever all this stuff was and what the purpose of everything was. So all in all, guys, my personal opinion is if it looks like something you're interested in, by all means, check it out. It's a Netflix movie. If you get into it and you're like, this is crap, and you just can turn it off, fine. Watch this movie out of curiosity. Other than that, guys, I really don't recommend this movie, to be perfectly honest. I say it's a skip it, but, again, it's Netflix. If you have Netflix, you see it on there, you're curious, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give it a whirl, see how it works out for me. Because in all honesty, I do feel that there are going to be people out there who enjoy this movie. For me, I still stand by the fact that you can leave a little bit more breadcrumbs to actually let things flesh out a little bit more so we, the viewers, have a better idea of what's going on. Sure, it's really nice to make a film that opens up discussion where people can talk about what their views and what they think happened in this film. But unfortunately, this movie's story just isn't strong enough for you to even care about going back and discussing this with people. You just turn the movie off and go, I think I'm gonna watch some Trailer Park Boys. Well, okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you could do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna. Well, hey, thanks for sticking around, which is something you should probably do with this movie also. If you actually make it to the end of the film, go ahead, stick around for the credits because there is a mid-credit scene, which is slightly entertaining. Let's just put it that way. Thanks again. Have a good night.